Right now, somewhere in the world, a warehouse full of computers is racing to solve a math problem. They've been at it for about 10 minutes, and in a few seconds, one of them is going to win. And when it does, it's going to collect a prize worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then, the whole thing starts over. Welcome to Bitcoin mining. If you watched my episode on blockchain, you heard me mention that Bitcoin runs on millions of computers all over the world. And then I said, I've got a whole nother video on that. Well, here we are again. So who are all of these people? And why are millions of computers running around the clock all over the world, keeping track of every Bitcoin transaction? Nobody's paying their electric bill. Nobody is sending them a paycheck. Or are they? Turns out there's a reward involved, and a lottery, and a math problem that can only be solved by guessing. You ready? Let's get into it. First off, why do they call it mining? Well, the same reason you mine for gold. You do a lot of work, you dig through a lot of nothing, and occasionally you find something valuable. The work is real, the reward is not guaranteed, and the more people that are doing it, the harder it gets. Bitcoin mining is the process of adding new transaction to the blockchain, that permanent public record we talked about in our last episode. Every 10 minutes or so, a new block of transactions needs to be added to the chain, and before that block can be added, somebody has to solve a puzzle. Now, whoever solves the puzzle first gets to add the block, and they get paid in Bitcoin. That's basically what mining is. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because you might be thinking, it's math. Math has answers. Why is it guessing? And that is a fair question. And the answer has everything to do with that fingerprint formula we talked about in the blockchain episode. Remember, if you watched it, you take a block of data, you run it through the formula, and you get a unique fingerprint. Same data in, same fingerprint out, every single time. But you change one little thing, and the fingerprint is completely different. And, now this is the crucial part, you cannot work backwards. You can't look at the fingerprint and figure out what went in. The formula only runs one direction. So now here's the puzzle Bitcoin gives the miners. Find a number. Miners call this a nonce, short for number used once. Find a number that when you add it to this block's data and run it through the formula, it produces a fingerprint that starts with a very specific pattern. And that's it. That's the whole puzzle. And that's why it requires guessing. There's no shortcut. There's no way to calculate what that number is. The formula is a one-way street, remember? The only way to find the answer is to try a number, run the formula, check the result. Nope. Try the next number. Run the formula. Check. Nope. You do it again. And again. And again. Trillions of times per second. Think of it like a combination lock with a trillion possible combinations. Except instead of turning the dial, you're running a math problem. And the only way to open it is to try every combination until one works. First one to crack it wins the prize. So this is a lottery. It is not a punch clock. It's not like the system says, well, your computer worked really hard today, here's a little something for your trouble. No, there's no participation trophies, no hourly rate. First one to find the answer wins the whole prize. Everybody else gets nothing. Well, now, you might be thinking, I've got an extra computer. I could do this. And technically, yes, anyone can mine Bitcoin. But let's talk about what you're actually up against. Your kid's 2-year-old Minecraft PC can maybe make a few thousand guesses per second. I mean, that sounds like a lot, right? But now your modern ASIC miner, that stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit, which is a fancy way of saying it can do one thing and one thing only. It can't check your email, it can't play Minecraft, it just guesses. All day, every day. One of these machines makes around 100 trillion guesses per second. Yes, you heard me correctly. 100 trillion guesses per second. And the entire Bitcoin network combined, somewhere around 950 quintillion guesses per second. That is a 1 followed by 18 zeros. I mean, you write it out, it doesn't even look like a real number. So basically, your Minecraft PC is bringing a number 2 pencil to a room full of calculators the size of a warehouse that are running 24 hours a day in Kazakhstan. The odds of your home computer winning a Bitcoin block, roughly 1 in 1.7 trillion on any given attempt. I mean, to put that in perspective, your odds of winning the Powerball are about 1 in 292 million. The Powerball is practically a sure thing by comparison. So now, if your home computer really can't compete, who's actually doing this? Well, you got two kinds of people. First, there are the industrial miners. These are operations running warehouses full of ASIC machines, sometimes tens of thousands of them, in places where electricity is pretty cheap. Kazakhstan, Texas, Iceland. The machines run around the clock. The cooling system runs around the clock, and the electricity bill is enormous. But when you win a block, the prize is all worth it. Now, depending on the market, winning a single block can pay out hundreds of thousands of dollars every 10 minutes. Somewhere in the world, somebody wins that prize. Now, second are the pool miners. These are regular people who realize they can't compete alone, so they join forces. A mining pool is exactly what it sounds like. You throw your computer in with thousands of others, you all work on the puzzle together, and when the pool wins, you get a cut proportional to how much computing power you contributed. So your Minecraft PC's share of a $250,000 prize may be roughly enough to buy a pack of gum, but hey, it's something. Now let's talk about the prize itself, because this is where it gets really interesting. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, the reward for mining a block was 50 Bitcoin. Now, at the time, 50 Bitcoin was roughly worth nothing, a couple bucks at most. But now here's what Satoshi Nakamoto, that's Bitcoin's mysterious creator, here's what he built into the system from day one. Every 210,000 blocks, roughly every 4 years, the reward gets cut in half, automatically. No vote, no committee. It just happens. This is called the halving. So it kind of looks like this. Every 4 years, the prize gets cut in half. But here's the thing. Bitcoin keeps getting more valuable. So 3.125 Bitcoin today is worth more than 50 Bitcoin was in 2009. The miners who stuck around got paid. The ones who quit early missed out. Now the next halving is around 2028, and then 2032, and then 2036. The halvings are going to keep coming until approximately the year 2140, when the last fraction of the 21 million bitcoins gets mined, and the reward hits zero. So now, what happens in 2140 when there's no more reward? That is a question that keeps economists and cryptographers up at night. So here's something worth knowing. Miners actually collect two things right now. The block reward, that's the 3.125 Bitcoin, and transaction fees. That's a small amount paid by the user to have their transaction included in the block. Now today, the fees are a smaller piece, but in 2140, when the block reward hits zero, transaction fees become the only paycheck. The theory is that by then, enough Bitcoin will be changing hands that the fees alone will be enough to keep miners motivated. If Bitcoin is widely used, there will be enough transactions flowing through the network that the fees add up something worth working for. Now, whether that's actually going to work, nobody knows. It's never happened before. This is kind of new territory. We're running an experiment in real time, and the results won't be in for another 100 years. But now, we do know this. Satoshi thought about it. It's not an accident. Every halving, every cap, every piece of this was designed. Whether the design holds out all the way to 2140 is a question for people who aren't even born yet. Now, before we go, I want to be clear about something, because you may have heard that Bitcoin is the currency of pirates, thieves, robbers, and swindlers. And let's just say the dark web isn't for buying vintage comic books. But now here's the thing that people get wrong. Bitcoin isn't untraceable. It's anonymous. And now those two things are very different. Every single Bitcoin transaction is on the blockchain. Completely public. Permanent. Anyone in the world can look it up. The entire history of every Bitcoin ever moved is sitting there right in the open. Now the catch is, nobody knows who the wallets belong to. There are no names, no addresses, just a string of random letters and numbers. So the transaction is visible, the person behind it isn't. The technical term for this is pseudonymous. That's one of them fancy college-level words. So it's not anonymous. Anonymous means no name at all. Pseudonymous means a fake name. Bitcoin wallets are like fake names. Very long, very random fake names. So think of it like a small town where every purchase gets written down in a big public ledger in the town square. Everyone can read it, but instead of names, everyone goes by a code name. The record is perfect, the identity is hidden. Until it isn't. As it turns out, law enforcement has gotten really good at figuring out who's behind those random strings. The moment someone converts Bitcoin into real money, like they cash out an exchange or they buy something that ships to a real address, that anonymity starts to crack. And the blockchain trail was there the whole time, just waiting. Now, cash leaves no trail. Bitcoin leaves a perfect trail, just without names attached, for the moment. Oh, and before we go, one more thing worth noting, because most people have heard some version of this story. A guy in Wales threw away a hard drive in 2013, and it had the private key to 8,000 Bitcoin on it. At today's prices, that's somewhere north of 700 million, and it's been sitting in a landfill ever since. He's been trying to get the city to let him dig it up for years. He offered them a cut, and they kept saying no. Now you know why he needs that hard drive so badly. The coins live on the blockchain. What lives in your hard drive is just the key. You lose that key, the coins stay on the chain. You can't touch it. So to summarize, here's what Bitcoin mining is. It's the engine that keeps the blockchain running. Millions of computers all around the world racing to solve a puzzle that can only be solved by guessing. And they are making trillions of guesses per second. First one to find the answer adds the next block to the chain, and that one wins the prize. It's not a punch clock, it's a lottery, with the jackpot that could be worth a couple $100,000 that pays out every 10 minutes somewhere in the world. The prize gets cut in half every 4 years by design until the last Bitcoin is mined around the year 2140. What happens after that is one of the most interesting open questions in economics. And your kid's Minecraft PC? It's welcome to come and play, just don't quit your day job. Now, if you want to understand the blockchain those miners are maintaining, I've got a whole video on that. And if you want to go back to where it all started, my episode on Bitcoin is a good place to start. Thank you so much for joining me. My next series is going to be on AI, how it gets formed, what's an LLM, and we're going to go through the dangers of AI, from fake videos to LLMs going rogue. Should be fun. Hope to see you. And hey, if you can, hit that subscribe button for me. It's just me here making those things, so every subscription really helps. I genuinely appreciate it. And as always, now you get it.